Good afternoon and welcome on behalf of the Law Society of Nunavut and happy Lunar New Year to everyone, the year of the fire horse. I, as myself, a white person, do not entirely know what that means, but it sounds good from what I've read. So happy New Year to everyone. Thank you again to Paul Falvo for joining us for what will be his last installment of the Mindful Lawyer series for now. We're in discussions about the schedule for upcoming sessions later in the year, and we'll update you about that. But thank you again, Paul, for being here, and I will turn the floor over to you.
Hey, thanks, Rebecca, and thanks everyone for being here. And if people want to be brave and turn their cameras on, that would be. I know you can't always, and you might be eating or running around, but if you're able to turn your camera on, that's appreciated because it helps us to build some sense of community, and it's a reminder to us that we're not alone in this, and we have colleagues. And I think we've advanced to a time and place where it's okay to talk about stuff like this. About it's okay to talk about feeling stressed, and we don't just have to suck it up all the time. Um, so in the past couple sessions, we're talking about mindfulness and we're talking about awareness. And those are really long-term concepts. Like there's no quick fix. So it's sort of like if we were talking about running or fitness, like when you're learning to run, it's a long-term investment. It's a long-term getting fit, maintaining fitness. It's not something that you're learning, to run away from a situation. So if that analogy makes any sense, what we're doing here is really long term. It's not meant to be like a quick fix. That said, we've probably all experienced times when when you feel really stressed, where your anxiety goes from like a mental concept to become something more physical. So you might be in the courtroom, and sorry, bit of an echo, I think.
If everyone could just mute themselves, I think that that is the issue.
I think you might have two mics open, Doug. Yeah. There's times when, at least I mean, everyone experiences it differently, but you may have times if you're in the courtroom or with a client, or maybe you're somewhere else. Maybe you're working in your home office in what feels like a safe space, but you feel just really physically stressed, and all the theory. Maybe all the theory, and you've you've heard the quotes, but it's not helping you in that moment. So that's why I call this one mindful first aid, tips for when you need inner peace, like right now. And it's kind of a misnomer, as I said, because it is a long-term thing, not a quick fix. And more than ever, I should give you the disclaimer on this one because, yeah, I've got experience as a lawyer, and I've got training as a meditation teacher. But there's an awful lot of things I am not, and mental health professional is one of them. I'm not a mental health professional or a health professional of any kind. So if you're feeling, you know, really super stress or anxiety, you always should reach out to a professional who can help with that. So what I've got are some tips that have helped me in my experience, and I'm going to be inviting you to share yours because I've got the combined wisdom here of people with different practices and experiences. The other disclaimer I would make is to always be thinking about putting yourself and your health first. Because I've seen so many lawyers that we we are so loyal to our clients or to the court. We're put under a lot of pressure. Our clients may have their liberty at stake or their well-being. It's easy to get caught up in the importance of what we're doing and the urgency. But I would say that no client, no professional situation is worth your health. And sometimes we have to step back and recognize that. And even if you want to put your clients ahead of yourself, then look at it as you can't help them if you're on your back. So you're helping your clients more when you help yourself. Uh, One of the things that it sounds really stupid when I say it, but it's something that I said to a friend, a colleague, about 20 years ago when he was going through a bit of crisis because he was dealing with a very difficult client situation that had turned into a law society complaint, and it was destroying him. It was really tearing him up. He felt he didn't have anywhere to turn, and I said something to him that seemed stupid at the time, but he reminded me of it just recently, like decades later. I told him, I said, they can't take your birthday away, and that may not sound like a very profound thing to say. Why do you tune into this session to hear that? But it stuck with him all these years. And it's something I remind myself sometimes too, that there are limits to what can happen to us in any professional situation. And different things, different words may speak to different people. But for me and this friend of mine, keeping in mind that they can't take your birthday away, that's helped us to keep things in perspective. That sure, your client can fire you, the judge can yell at you, you can even get professional sanctions. The law society has an arsenal of remedies, and for that matter, so do the courts. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be there. There are limits to what can happen, and I think we need to keep that in perspective. Another thing that a teacher told me that I remind myself in very stressful situations, and it might not even be a work situation, it could be almost anything in life, is to tell myself that nothing is happening right now. And I'll say that one to clients sometimes too, if they're feeling very stressed, but to remind them, nothing is happening right now. And to explain that, if you really found yourself in an ultra dangerous situation, like if you're in a burning building or something, you're actually not going to be probably dealing with anxiety. You're going to be in flight mode. You'll be in fight or flight or freeze mode. The reactions people go into. You'll be in one of those, but you'll be dealing with the situation. What I'm talking about here is what happens to us more often, like in court, where we're actually not really dealing with a burning building. We're dealing more with stress and anticipation of something that we think might happen or something that has happened. Like a lot of our stress and anxiety is either thinking of things in the past or things that might happen, and they might even not happen, but we're going to punish ourselves and stress ourselves over them anyway. I've heard it called like the second arrow, that it's the anticipation. Well, the second arrow is the past. Like something has happened to you, but you keep revisiting it, as if you're getting another arrow and landing in the same spot where the first arrow landed. And anticipation, it's like somebody standing over you with a stick, but they haven't swung the stick, but it's hanging over you, and you're going through all the physical reaction for something that actually has not happened and might not even happen. So to tell yourself nothing is happening right now is a way of grounding yourself. So you might be in the courtroom. You might be on the way to court. You might be waiting for a client. Wherever you are, when you're feeling that extreme stress, tell yourself, like, nothing is happening right now. Meaning that, look, I'm just sitting here, nothing's on fire, no bullets are coming at me. Whatever situation I'm in with the court or the client, nothing physical is happening right now. And I find those words, it's something that I keep in my pocket for situations. When I feel, my heart rate increasing or my breathing is changing, nothing is happening right now. And if it helps, you can look around you. I don't know if you saw in one of the episodes of Better Call Saul, where Charles McGill is feeling extremely stressed, and he starts naming the things in his room. Like he starts saying, green wall, brown floor, red blanket. Starts naming things. Some people do that. They will name things around them as a way of just grounding themselves. So that's a technique that works for some. And I don't want to stray outside my expertise, but a story that I came across just this week was about a psychological test where people were put in a dark room, put in the dark for 48 hours, basically. So researchers were putting volunteers in this psychological experiment for 48 hours. And most of the people after 12 or 24 hours were losing their minds because of the lack of, the sensory situation. And you can imagine situations that somebody might be in, like if you were trapped in a car or in an overturned boat or something, like extreme situations. But there was apparently one guy who came through the experiment, and the way he had done it was just by feeling around him and saying, okay, the floor is here, the wall is here, I'm here. Like, he was able to just rationalize it. So that's kind of an extreme situation. I don't think you're likely to be locked in the dark for 48 hours. I hope not. But you can take a modification of that scenario to the workplace and just look around you, ground yourself, feel the floor, tell yourself nothing is happening right now. It's also a technique that I think we can practice together, which is called box breathing. You may have heard of it. Box breathing is something that apparently is used even by Navy SEALs, like in combat situations. But basically, it's sort of 4x4 breathing, if I can put it that way. If you visualize a square, four sides of a square, and visualize breathing with the square, I'll explain how it fits together. 4 seconds each side. You you breathe in 4 seconds, hold your breath 4 seconds, exhale over 4 seconds, and then hold 4 seconds. And you can do that almost anywhere. The judge won't even notice, probably. It's a way of, I think, achieving some measure of calm in a difficult situation. There's apps for that, and what I propose to do is that's one we can try. We can try it right now. And I just open the app here. Bear with me for a moment. So, and I hold this up to the screen here. You can see that that's the square with four sides. And when I hit the start button, we should see the timer working. So, wherever you are now, I'll talk you through this. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. So I'll stop there. I think you get the idea. That's just an app I pulled off the App Store. I don't usually use an app. If I do that, I just count in my mind because you don't always have your phone in front of you. I should have mentioned, don't do that if you have like lung or breathing issues. And at any point, if it feels uncomfortable, like anything that I've talked about, just stop doing it if it feels uncomfortable. Let's pause there. Does anybody have comments on that? Thoughts? Like, have you used box breathing? Yes, Doug.
Hi, Paul. Uh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah. Good.
Okay. No, I experimented over the years with various different breathing techniques, and I noticed I was reading something recently on the BBC website. They have a master class with this guy named James Nestor, who's an American science journalist, but apparently has a New York Times bestseller on breathing and the benefits of breathing. So I really see a close link between these breathing exercises and meditation, using it as a way of getting yourself into a calmer state. Like just like the box breathing, that's one technique I hadn't seen before, but I do something similar in my daily routine. I'm always kind of tinkering with different approaches, but yeah, I find that it's one of the most effective methods of just slowing everything down, focusing on your breath. And I also, one of the things I try to be mindful about the breathing because I think about what I'm doing for my body when I'm breathing in oxygen, right?
Mm.
Because you're breathing in the good stuff, that oxygen that your body needs. It's needed by the cells. It gives energy to the cells, or I guess another way of saying it, the cells use the oxygen to generate the energy that we need to perform our daily activities, or even on a cellular level. So you're breathing it in, but you're breathing in really good essential stuff. And then, of course, when you exhale, you're breathing out the carbon dioxide. So you're getting rid of that because you don't want that staying in your system. So, yeah, so I guess I feel like, okay, I'm doing something good for myself physically and emotionally when I get into a deep breathing exercise like that. So if I do that for a few minutes, I find that really helps to calm me down. Um, and sometimes while I'm doing that, I'll also listen to some kind of meditation recording or self hypnosis, which also adds to I find a calming effect.
Yeah, no, thank you. Uh, yeah, I think there's two advantages or 2 points with the breath. One is that you always have it. I went to one meditation where it was like introductory meditation, and the instructor was talking about, okay, try and put your thoughts into your right foot. And there was a guy there who actually didn't have a right foot, like he had a prosthetic leg, and so he came up and was joking with the instructor afterwards. He thought it was funny, but um, we're all different, but we all have a breath, and wherever you go, you're breathing. When the day comes that we're not, it's a different set of problems. But for now, any situation you're in, you've got your breath with you. So that's one reason for using it. But the other, as you're saying, Doug, is that there is actually a physical calming effect, which I cannot fully articulate or explain, but there is a calming effect when you slow or moderate your breath. Because if we were just thinking about our hands or something and we were breathing really fast, we could get very physically worked up. So that's another advantage of being aware of the breath. Does anybody else have thoughts on this or on any other strategies you want to share? Reflections on what I said earlier? Contradictions? I feel sometimes like I'm not giving you very much, like there's no silver bullet, there's no magic here. But maybe that's also part of the point, that there are no magic solutions. Sometimes we're looking for apps or pills or remedies, but really the answer is right here. It's you, and it's simple. It can be just as simple as being aware of your breath, keeping things in perspective. What I want to do now is lead a meditation, but a different variation of meditation. because in the first two sessions, it was what I call an awareness meditation. And the instruction, you may remember, was to just sit still, sit symmetrically, and just receive. Just observe. And that's fine for a daily practice for most of us. However, in a very stressful situation, you're sitting there in court, you're waiting to be called on, your knees are banging together, your breathing's going up. I don't know if that's going to help. Like to actually meditate or something in the courtroom, or when you're in a very stressful situation, might even, having an awareness of a stressful situation might or might not be helpful. So the meditation style that I will show you today, I call it a breath meditation. It's slightly different because instead of just sitting there and observing and receiving, you're actually going to use the breath, I don't know if I can say as a handhold, but you're going to use the breath as sort of like a touchstone, something that you're going to return to continually. Again, it's not something you're probably going to do in the courtroom, but it's something you might do at home or in the office. And some people find this this style of meditation, some people find it easier because you've got something to lean on instead of just sitting there observing. But we'll try it, and you'll decide what you think of it. I'm going to set the timer on my phone. Got a cat here who may be running interference. I'm going to set the timer for 12 minutes. It's not the first meditation we've done. But as always, if you feel uncomfortable, it's as simple as just stop. We're not going anywhere. So when you come to meditation, you could be sitting traditionally like on a cushion. I'm in a kneeling chair. You can be in an office chair. I encourage you to find a blend between upright but not uptight. You're sort of blending precision with gentleness. A hammock or a couch is probably too soft. And if your chair has a back to it, you want to be sitting upright enough that you're not like slouched or reclining. But at the same time, your posture, don't be so rigid that you get yourself in pain. We're not out to achieve discomfort here. And pain is distracting. So you want to be a balance of comfort and attention. There's no magic to the posture. Whether you have your legs crossed or whether you have your feet on the floor in front of you, it's one is as good as the other. I sit with my hands palm down on my legs. Some people they do things with their hands, or they form positions or mudras. with their fingers. I don't do that, except having your palms face down on your legs can be a reminder to you of the mind and body connection. Like, you're thinking with your mind, but your physical body is there, and your hands on your legs are a reminder to you of that. I'm going to start the timer here. That was the bell. You may or may not have heard it. You're sitting upright but not uptight. Your eyes are open. And I invite you to just let your gaze rest on a spot in front of you on the wall or on the floor. Like, your head can be tilted slightly down, and so a few feet in front of you on the floor or the wall. Not even like a spot, really, just an area. Your gaze rests there. You're not staring at anything, just resting. Breathe naturally, because you already know how to breathe. You've been breathing since you were born. We're not going to do anything like magical or different with your breath. The only thing I'm asking you to do differently is to let your attention rest on the breath. In other words, let your awareness rest on that breath. So you've got an inhale and an exhale. And it's just your natural, calm breath. The only thing different is that you're noticing it. Because we've all been breathing all day, and we probably haven't paid a lot of attention to it. We don't pay attention when things are going okay. But for these few minutes, let your attention rest on that breath. And when thoughts come into your mind, just recognize them as thoughts. Recognize them as thoughts. Let them float away. And very gently lead your attention back to the breath. And just let it rest there. I'll stop talking. I'll watch the time, and we'll sit in silence. If you hear things, that's okay. Just recognize them as your reaction, as thoughts. Let your attention come back to the breath. And let it rest there. as often as you need to, every time you find your mind wandering, and that can be an infinite number of times. Just gently lead your attention back and let it rest there on the breath. as often as you need to. Just keep gently picking up the attention from wherever it went, gently leading it back and letting it rest on the breath. And that's the bell. So to stop meditating, simply drop the technique. Keep breathing. How was that? Any thoughts?
Just letting you know we're turning off the recording.
Sure,
So,
thanks. Okay,
yeah.
thanks, Rebecca. Anybody have any thoughts on that meditation?
I